Welcome to this episode of First Home Hustle. I'm Kim McCarty.
And I'm Dave Stahl.
All right, so today we're going to talk about a couple different things. So you found a stat, and you're going to share that stat, and we're going to kind of go off of that stat and add and kind of go on.
Well, I thought we were going to talk about the importance of first-time home.
We are going to talk about that, but I thought your stat was important.
But the stat is important because it shows that there's been an increase of the number of first-time home buyers year over year. So the stat I saw yesterday was that for April of 2024, 33% of the home buyers were first-time buyers, compared to a year prior, 29%.
Right.
I know it's only 4%.
That's huge.
4% across the country. That's a lot of first-time home buyers.
That's great. So we kind of talked about why we think this may have happened, right? What conditions would allow for more first-time home buyers in the marketplace? And we talked about inventory. So that being one of them would probably be the inventory. As we get more homes on the market, it gives an opportunity for first-time home buyers to be in a better position to compete, right? Maybe there aren't 24 offers on the same house. Maybe there's only 3 or 4, which helps that first-time home buyer bubble a little bit to the top.
Well, I think another thing that's important to note is last year, there was a lot of shock in the market as far as where interest rates were. And it's kind of like, I use an analogy of comparing gas prices.
Right.
You know, when gas prices go way high, everybody's like, oh, gas prices, I don't want to, don't drive as much. But what always happens with gas prices is you see the prices come down quickly, and then they slowly go back up to a point of market absorption.
Right.
And I think that what's happened with interest rates is the same, is that people have gotten to that spot, at least first-time buyers have, where they're like, okay, we're not going back to 3% rates.
No.
Is it affordable? Can I buy now because I need to buy now and I need to quit renting?
Right.
So I think that's also had a part in it, as well as we were talking about. There's just a lot of programs out there to help first-time home buyers.
Right.
Whether it be a lower down payment or down payment assistance, or just a lot of different programs and products out there to help.
Well, and I think that's a sign that the government really is trying to get the first-time home buyers into the marketplace by offering the down payment assistance programs or, down payment programs, all of that. So, yeah, I think that's a sign. Now, the other thing, and we have said this before, but the other thing, and I did a video on this, just a really quick outtake, said in 1971, and I know we've said this before, the interest rate was, I want to say it again because I think it's huge when you stop and think about it again. The interest rate in 1971 was 7.33%.
Right.
If the buyers had waited for the interest rate to fall before they bought a house, they would have 22 years.
Right.
But what the market did in those 22 years for as far as equity and the values of the home, it quadrupled. So think about if you had waited and you sat in a rental property for 22 years waiting for an interest rate to fall, how much money you lost in doing that. So it's all about buying the real estate now, waiting for a rate to maybe fall. But as we've talked in the past, the interest rate is very normal. This is a normal interest rate. We got used to an abnormally low interest rate. And when that happened, it trained us to be used to that.
Well, I think that stat that you mentioned about the amount of equity growing, it really plays to and I get a lot of people that I talk to that are like, man, I should wait because, rates are high, not as many buyers, and, maybe prices will come down.
Right.
Clearly, based upon that stat, that's not what the market traditionally does.
No.
So if you want to wait to buy a home, you're actually putting yourself farther behind.
Right.
Because you're likely going to be paying, I mean, from what the Fed has said, at least over the past, 7, 8, 9 months, is we're going to have higher rates for longer than what we initially anticipated. That flat out means that if you're going to wait and you're going to pay the same rate next year, you're going to be paying more because you're going to pay more for the house because the value is going to go up.
It's going to go up. And honestly, the pent-up energy, eventually people will just say, okay, the interest rate's not moving.
Market saturation.
Exactly. We're just going to be in the same position where you start seeing all those multiple offers again, especially in the first-time home buyer price range. So
we also talked about what the first-time home buyer does for the rest of the market.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't think about this. And to me, I think it's a really important reason that first-time home buyers are so important in our economy is that they actually stimulate the economy. And when you stop and think about it, you go, well, what do they do that the rest of us don't do? Well, when you're a second or third time homeowner, you're bringing all your old furniture with you. You're bringing all your old washer and dryers. You're bringing all that with you. But when you're a first time home buyer, you're buying a home. You're probably coming either from mom and dad's house or an apartment, and you don't have furniture, or you don't have furniture that you want, and you have to buy refrigerators, washer, dryers, things like that. So you're stimulating our economy by buying those products and goods. But the other thing you're doing is you're also helping the neighborhood. You're interested in maintaining the yard now. So you're going to go out and you're going to plant flowers. Well, so you may hire somebody to help you. So you're hiring a trade to help you do that. You're also painting.
I had a guy, first-time home buyer, close on a house, and 2 weeks before he bought the house, he had all the yard work stuff in the back of his truck.
Ready
and
to go.
He sent me a picture. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Ready."
See? And he's a bit, without even thinking about it, he's stimulating the economy.
Absolutely.
And renters don't do that. Landlords don't do that. They don't take new flowers and new plants and plant them in the house because they're A, renting, or B, their ROI, they don't care, right? So that's the importance of a first-time home buyer in our economy, is they help take old neighborhoods, or maybe it's just been an older generation that's living there and they're moving on, and they take those older homes and they update them, and that brings that neighborhood back up to, and helps everyone around them with value, right? So that's the importance of the first-time home buyer, and I think that's what a lot of people forget. And especially when you're looking at multiple offers on your homes, right? So as a seller, you've got 15 offers on a home, and maybe that cash investor has bubbled to the top, right? Because he can close in 2 weeks or whatever it is. But if you can get the first-time home buyer to do everything except for maybe close in 30 days, but it gives you the same amount of money, I sure would think about taking that risk. I personally would. So that's why I think it's important. I think it's important that we look at it from an economy standpoint, not just, oh, okay, someone bought my house, but did the right person buy your house?
Right.
So
I think are there still a lot of agents who have the buyer write a little letter?
Oh yeah. I mean, I still do in multiple offers. It kind of goes against fair housing, but whether or not people show it or
you're not talking about discriminatory items.
You're not. And you don't have to include a picture or anything like that. But yeah. So I think it's important, especially if you have a seller that's been in their home for a long time that is interested in selling it to someone who's going to take care of it and be excited about it, then I think that's important. So,
right. So to wrap up,
yes,
first-time home buyers up by 4% year over year. They stimulate the economy.
Mm-hmm. And there's less competition right now. And I think that's important. So if you are a first-time home buyer and you've kind of been on the fence with that interest rate and, I just don't know, well, think about it this way. You might actually get the house and have the seller help you with a little bit of your closing costs to offset what that interest rate is costing you additionally monthly. You can easily get that offset. So I think that's the other thing, is that when we don't have as much competition in the marketplace for homes, or we have more inventory, that helps that first-time home buyer be able to negotiate a little bit more on their behalf. Instead of paying everything towards the seller and giving everything, they can actually get a few things put back in their pockets.
Right.
All right. So if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
972-896-8790.
And we're at 214-662-9308. Thanks.